orders have to be signed off by either, if it is below the award amount, because very often there's a contingency amount, those variation orders have to be signed by the director. If it is over the award amount and within the 20% allowable by the regulations, that has to be signed by the municipal manager, and that process is stipulated in our SCM policy. So there is a regulation that covers us in terms of the way the variation orders are being dealt with. The CFO has now asked that variation orders be dealt with even more strictly, and there is a process where we are going to possibly look at amending the policy even further. But that's a process that will come over the next 2 to 3 months. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Director. Councilor Marwani, acceptable?
No, Chair, I'm satisfied.
Thank you. The recommendation is that members that the report on irregular expenditure on contract T3617/18 exceeding tender amount be noted. The impact note that the relevant employer is no longer in the employment of the municipality, and therefore no consequence management measures can be affected. That the Director of Fiscal Services emphasized to officials in his directorate the importance of having proper processes when incurring expenditure. The impact recommends council that the expenditure on T30 discussed that is, like I said, page 27, and it's irregular expenditure on tender 13/2015, transport of containerized domestic waste between the National Refuge Transfer Station and Petro SA landfill site most. Members, any discussion on that?
Chair.
Yes.
I want to ask a simple question. I saw the report. I want to ask a simple question that, where was the waste manager? Because I don't see the report in page 27. It speaks about 2 officials, the waste, which are not working at waste department. Where was the manager of waste when they seek the outside company, these 2 officials?
Okay. Ekin MM, you want to respond to that?
Chairperson, can the councillor just repeat that question?
Thank you, DVD. What I'm asking, DVD, in the report, it stated about 2 officials, which are not, waste management is not their function. I want to ask, where was the waste manager not giving approval of the private company to be used? Because here, the report, I've seen that they went to the DC and they were found not guilty. But the question that I have as a councillor, if procurement takes place without a person that's supposed to procure as a department and other person at Parks procure, for me it raises alarms. Where was the actual manager that is responsible for the department? When his services, when his work was done by somebody else?
Chairperson, can I respond?
Yes, you may, Ekin.
I see that the incident happened in July 2019. I just need to establish if this happened in the absence of a waste manager, because that's the only explanation that I can give, that the waste manager was maybe appointed afterwards. But I need to come back to the committee before the end of the meeting to just verify that information. That's the only explanation.
Councillor Matuani, is that acceptable?
Chair, thank you very much. Acting MM, I would like us to take this matter to the next meeting. Why I'm saying that? Your establishment also must be informed by facts of saying that if the waste manager was appointed that particular time, why these two official embargo is not their function? Why I'm asking that? It's on base that, in my own understanding, we had a waste manager. The new guy from Plettenberg Bay came and was appointed that time. A question that I'll ask, because it's his function, it's not anyone else's function. Now, what I want to know is one, because in 2019, there was a waste manager. Because when we came here 2016, the waste manager left 2017, if I'm not mistaken, because the new waste manager was employed while Eleanor was the mayor. That's why I know my facts. Or either in the time of Mark.
So, Councillor Matuani, do you want a response from the acting MM?
I will recommend that we come back to IMPEC with a report on this. I hear what the councillor asked. What was the reason that these two officials was involved? And I can just confirm that the waste manager was appointed in 2018 already. So there was a waste manager in the employ of the municipality, and we need to respond in terms of a report coming back to MPEC with regards to the request of Councillor Matiwani, if you rule like that, Chairperson.
Yeah, so Councillor Matuani, so you propose that to the next impact meeting we'll discuss that. That matter must be discussed. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So noted then. Right. So it's recommended then that Council notes the consequence management measures implemented by the Director of Community Services, that the Director of Community Services emphasized to officials in the Directorate the importance of following proper processes when incurring expenditure. Members? So,
Agreed.
agreed. Thank you. Okay, with 6.4, report on consequence management in respect of irregular expenditure during 2018-2019 financial year, and that's on the Department Plan and Development, page 28 to 29. What's something on that?
Chair.
Yes, Councilman.
I'm very much saddened what I read here. Because for me, as a councillor, that do oversight, that is clear corruption. That is clear favoritism, because I believe one thing, they cannot be without following any processes of supply chain. A person can just be awarded a tender. Or irrespective, it's a 1,000 rand supply of food. For me, I'm failing words, because end of the day, if this, I cannot come strong on it, it tells me there's no reason for me to be here. I must go close the shop and go and ask for a job. And secondly, I want to ask to the acting MM, what measures from his side as the head of administration that he put it in place, this cannot happen again. And secondly, there is no possibility that these officials which are still in the employ of government to other institutions, we can hold them accountable. Because this is public money and processes were skipped, were not followed.
Okay, Acting MM, you want to respond?
Chairperson, yes. At the end of the day, we have some procedures and processes in place, especially in terms of our supply chain management policy, that we hope that will be tight enough to circumvent or prevent such activities. But as you are aware, that every now and then there's something is falling through the cracks, and luckily for us, we can pick it up. This is as part of the management response. We need to update our procedures and processes and our checks and balances on a daily basis to circumvent theft and fraud and circumvention of the procurement process and policies. From time to as we will do now with our new budget cycle, that we really look at our policies and processes and procedures. But in this case, that is in front of the impact. As the employees is not in the employment of council anymore. That we maybe MPEC can make a decision that we recover the cost and go after the money, and the cost benefit analysis that the MPEC must take into the account is how much money are we going to throw after this in relation to recover costs. That's one of the considerations that MPEC should do.
Chair?
I'm listening, Councillor Matwani.
I hear you, my acting MM, but a concern that will always come from me. Since 2016, this is always a repetition of things that are happening, because somehow, we need to ensure that we don't play as council, and we must be hard on you so that we ensure compliance all the time. It's something that we live on. That's all that I'm asking, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Matwani. Well, there was some direction from the acting MM. If you want to go up money, whether we should, if we want to spend money to do that. Can I have some input from you, from our members?
Chair, I think it will be a waste of time and money, because the amount maybe you're talking about is 3,000, 2,000. But for me that is sitting here, the administration need to have a plan of ensuring this won't happen again to any department. If the acting MM and his directors need to be stricter with rules so that this cannot happen. Yes, we've learned, because end of the day, it will take us a lot of money to recover this small amount. Mine is saying that let us admit that officials not with the employees of the municipality, and let the MM put guidelines in place to ensure whichever officials embark on this, tougher consequence measures must be applied. Thank you.
Thank you. Then, Councillor Matwani, is it an old hand or an old hand?
It's an old hand, Chair. So.
Thank you. Good. The recommendation is, if there's nobody else, is that the report with regard to the consequence management in respect of irregular expenditure during 2018-2019 financial year, resolution impact 07-10-2020, be noted. Members?
Agreed.
Thank you. All right, so we're going now to 6.5. That is page 30 to 35. Says report on the record of impact resolutions for the period 1st July 2019 until 30 June 2020. Acting, can you take us through that?
Chairperson, for the purpose of doing justice to this meeting, I wonder if Enrico, don't you have that execution list with you so that you can maybe take the committee through? Because I don't have it on my electronic version.
Sorry, acting MM. There's two Enricos. Which one?
Enrico Kamfer.
Right. Thanks for the clarity.
Okay.
Chairperson, I don't know whether the acting municipal manager is referring to the Annexure B. Referring to the Annexure B attached to the agenda.
Acting MM.
I'm referring to Annexure B, Enrico.
Chairperson, this is in the at a meeting of impact that was held on the 28th of July, I think. On the 1st of July, 28th of July 2020. One of the resolutions taken by impact was that a list of resolutions must be submitted, taken by be submitted to impact at this next meeting. Now that meeting that was supposed to be held in August never materialized, and the previous impact coordinator after this Annexure B, which is the record of impact resolutions for the period of from 1st July 2019 to the 30th June 2020, and that is the list at requested impact.
Yeah, is there any questions, members, on this?
Nothing from my side, Chair.
I just repeat that, Councillor Wasman.
Said nothing from my side. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah. All right, if there's nothing else, then the recommendation from the acting municipal manager is that the report on the record impact resolutions for the period 1st July 2019 to June 2020 be noted. Members?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Well,
Right, outstanding then is 6.1 under new items on the report on draft pack work plan. Acting MM, are you ready for us now?
All right. Thank you, Chairperson. I've received a copy of the work plan. It sets out the operations that of impact for the year ending December 2021. So in terms of, should I go through the whole thing from the beginning? The envisaged operations is January, February to review the oversight report, etc. Public inputs, compile oversight report, review the draft oversight report, present the oversight report to council and the monthly budget statement. And then in March, there's a third quarter performance report of the MM and the section 57, verify submissions of the minutes of the of the meeting with the various government, treasury, national and provincial, and the AG to adopt the oversight in April, monthly budget statements, and it goes on. I think that the members has read through it, and if there is questions, Chairperson, that they can ask questions. I see Councillor Wasserman do have.
Councillor Wasserman.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you very much for this. It's very helpful indeed for MPAC, and I'm very pleased to see that it has finally been presented to MPAC. Chair, I would just like to know if you have a look, for instance, at January, February, and March, there are things that MPAC is supposed to be doing but clearly hasn't done, specifically with regards to the oversight reports. So, question to the acting municipal manager, what are the consequences of that, and how do we play catch up? Chair, and then I just wanted to ask you, the one thing that has concerned me for quite some time is the fact that MPAC isn't attending to one of the matters which is quite important in the terms of reference, and that is the review of whether matters raised in past audit reports have been attended to, as well as whether recommendations made in previous oversight reports in terms of Section 129 of the Finance Act have been attended to. So I was thinking that might appear in the work plan, but I don't see it. So through the chair to the acting MM, how is MPAC supposed to fulfill that function? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Chairperson?
Yes, sir.
I think that in terms of this work plan, there's a lot of these functions and activities that, due to the fact that the AG report is late this year, that needs to be moved forward in terms of, because wasn't possible for January and February to deal with that, because the AG report is only available hopefully by the end of this week. And we had a meeting this morning with the audit committee also that we need to deal with the audit committee report, and it will mean that we need now to squeeze it in between now and next month in terms of the activities of the of impact with regards to the oversight report, etc. So I think in terms of this activity list, we need to really look at that and maybe squeeze it up to March, April, in order for us to do justice to this process.
Thank you, Councillor Wasserman.
Thank you for that answer. And then, Chairperson, just the other question that I asked, please, with regards to the matters raised. Okay, so that is what the MM is talking about, is matters raised in the audit reports. Okay, thanks, Chair, I'm covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Right. Yeah. The recommendation, members, is from the MM that the draft impact work plan is requested by impact be considered and approved, members, with the necessary changes.
With the necessary changes, yes, thanks, Chair.
Thank you. All right, then, just before we close, I really want to thank previous chairperson Impact, Councillor Wasserman and her team, for the good work they've done, and also, for drawing up the list. And as we've listened, the acting MM will really start working on all the outstanding matters as such. I had a meeting with the chairperson of the